My name is Preston Lewis, and today I will be going over mass media, the gateway to modern science. So, what is mass media? It is just a medium through which any media is represented. And I'll be going how reliable and trustworthy these sites are, and I will be overall arguing that the censorship of topics through social media leads to a lack of discursive complexity in society. So, social media has been increasingly growing ever since the digital era, and according to a study done by the Reuters Institute, um, roughly 36% of adults said they use Facebook for weekly news, and 21% use YouTube. And keep in mind that all of these social media companies are private businesses. There are two types of censorships that I want to go over. The first is what I call active censorship, and this is the active removal of content through human led decision making skills. This is including, but not limited to, censoring or banning users, deleting chosen content, and then this third one is creating algorithms that affect the exposure rate of certain content. So, for example, it might make content uh, that says that the government is treating COVID 19 well. It might make it appear more often, and it might make anything that says otherwise appear less often. So, this is a human led algorithm. And then there's passive censorship. So, this is the removal of content or users on a website through user driven or unbiased algorithms, typically that are machine learned. So, I think Reddit is a good example of this. They have a system of upvoting and downvoting content that you like or dislike. Um, the only issue comes in that if these uh, sites are actually biased themselves, then the users themselves will also be biased. So if a site censors a certain type of content, then that also means that users will be likely to have beliefs that are skewed towards the content that's being shown more often, which means that they will be presented with less contrasting opinions. They will upvote the popular opinions, downvote the unpopular ones, and as how the site works, the upvoted contents go to the top, downvoted go to the bottom, and it creates a very echo chamber like snowball effect. So, COVID 19 also has some censorship related to it, specifically Dr. John Ioannidis of Stanford University. He did an 8 episode series questioning COVID 19, just studying the data. Uh, and in his first episode, he questioned the effectiveness of continuing the lockdown back in 2019. And this video was shortly after taken down. However, we know as humans that the CDC only had a limited knowledge of the virus at the time, and that they do gain knowledge as we learn more about it. And so we get into this moral question of, is it actually right to censor questioning, especially when we only have limited information on the topic? And then there's also this social dilemma of the spiral of silence. This is the idea that you can more easily voice a majority viewpoint because it's easier to say, and that it's harder to voice an unpopular opinion, as there's this social stigma of saying the wrong thing might get you excluded from a conversation or from certain friend groups. And if censorship is taking place, then this effect scales massively because this unpopular opinion is now seen as an almost extremist opinion because it's being actively censored, which makes you even more likely to want to just go with the norm. I also just want to go over the credibility of information. There's an information need for the viewer to get information from media sites. And as we get more knowledge about a certain topic, we also adjust the truth value for certain pieces of information that we get from our media. So as we learn more about a topic, we either prove or disprove certain aspects of information. And there's also this topic of high versus low stakes information needs. So something high stakes would be something that if you are wrong, the stakes means if you're wrong, what could happen? High stakes means bad things could happen. So, for example, if you're in a forest and you see a mushroom and you need to know if it's poisonous or not, that is a very high stakes information need because if you're wrong, then you could be poisoned. And I would say COVID-19 is a very high stakes information need. So this is why I believe the media is heavily censoring it, because wrong information could be considered very dangerous. Whereas something like political information would be considered very low stakes information. And the solution to overall media censorship, I think having less ambiguity in social media's terms and conditions will lead to better educated um, people, and it will also lead to just a more consistent enforcement of the censorship. Because right now it's simply up to the company's discretion because they are a private business. I believe educating people, which will come with that terms and conditions, and then potentially having a government partner in social media, or to simply have more governmental regulations. And I side more towards governmental regulations because there are privacy issues with government partner in social media. While we as humans do have implicit biases, while doing research on this topic, I attempted to be as neutral and unbiased as possible and simply make an educated conclusion. I hope that you do the same for this topic and any other topics that you would like to know more about. Siddharth Vadarajan, an Indian newspaper editor, stated that there's a fine line between censorship and regulation, and I understandably agree with this viewpoint. Thank you.